Alrighty. Count subarrays with fixed counts. Hard one. You're given an integer array nums and two integers min k and max k. A fixed bound subarray of nums is a subarray that satisfies the following conditions. The minimum value of the subarray is equal to min k, and the maximum value of the subarray is equal to max k. Return the number of fixed bound subarrays. Subarray is continuous portion, not to confuse with a subsequence. So if the array is this, and the min k is 1 and max k is 5, then it can be 135 or 1352. Can't be 13527 because the 7 would be exceeding it. And then no other possibilities. So the fixed bound subarrays are 135 and 352. And then if the min is and max is 1 and you have all 1s, there's 10 possible subarrays. And all of them work. Okay. Seems easy enough to understand. Alright, so the length is 10, 100,000. So it doesn't look like I can do an n squared approach here. Probably linear. I don't think I can sort it because sorting it would break the subarray sequencing. So this is probably linear, probably possibly monotonic, possibly sliding window. I'm going to start with sliding window. So if I were to consider, let's say the min is 2 and the max is 5 for this subarray, or for this array, then you can't have anything that's below 2. So the window can't start, or the window, if you see an element that is not possible, then the window starts after that element. Not possible being an element that's outside of the min and max interval. So you know that 1 can't be part of the window, and then you say 3, and then you slide the window until it reaches something that you slide the window out when it reaches, when a satisfied condition, then you start counting the windows as part of the answer. And then when you see something that's out of the min-max, then you restart the window. Alright, this seems like it could be pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's say answer is 0 for, and let's say the right, is it going to be the right side? Actually, I think that approach does sound like it's n squared though. So you start for the left side, and then you keep on going right side. I guess if you start on the left side, alright, alright, I think maybe I'll say left is going to be 0, and then for every index, yeah, okay, yeah, I think I can understand this. For right, so this is going to be sliding window. Sliding window. So for the right index, that increments in through the values here. Value equals nums. Nums at right. So left is going to be earliest start to any valid window, which will be value has to be in the min k max k interval. So if this value is bigger than max k or smaller than min k, can I do not with a double with a compound inequality? Not like a double inequality. Okay, so that's the steps. So if not in min k less than or equal to value less than or equal to max k, if that's not the case, then I need to make the start be after this index. Otherwise, I keep the left side as it is. Then maybe I say continue here. Like I just skip this spot right now. Yeah. So I need to keep track of the number. I need to keep track of the number of times I've seen. I need to keep track of the min and max currently and make sure that it's the max is the min and max of the current window. Current min, I'll say has min and has max be false, because I just need to know whether or not it has it. And anytime I reset the window, it will not have it. Anytime I reset the window, it doesn't have it. Okay. So value is outside the window. If the value is in the window, then the value equals min k. So right here, this is value is in interval. So if the value does match min k, then it has the min in this window. And if the value equals max k, then it has the max in this window. This can't be else if, because else if doesn't work if the min and max are the same. And then if min k, if it has min and it has the max for the current window, then what does that mean? Then the left side, then all subarrays from the current left to this current ending should work. So answer plus equals right minus left plus 1. So the left index could equal the right index. Yep. And then I just return the answer. Alright, so works for the second case. 135275. So this says output is 10, but it's actually 2. So what is it doing here? If so, the value is going to be 1. So when is this incrementing? When is the answer increasing? So I'll say print the value and then left, right, and right minus left plus 1. So when the value is 1, it's saying that this is a valid solution. That's not true. The value is 1. 1 is not This should be resetting it. Like min k should be 1. Okay, min k should be true. But then max k has min should be true, but max has min has max should be. I'm an idiot. Has min has min has min has max. Okay, there we go. That's less stupid. Okay, so the first one that sees is when it's 5. Yeah, that's not right. It not only needs to have the min and max, it also needs to go from the earliest min. It needs to go from the earliest. It needs to go from the earliest min and max. To the left side. Yeah, so what's happening here is let's say I had an array that was 4, 1, 3, 5, 2, 7, 5, 2, 1, 1, 4. Alright, something like that. And the min is 1 and the max is 5. So the left side is going to be 4. And then when it reaches 5, this is when it first considers that has a subarray that is inclusive of a min and max. But then the 4 can go up to the 1 and it still would work. So like 4135, 4135, but not 35, because 35 wouldn't have the appropriate min. And then when it does the 2, that should also work. And the 2 should go all the way to the 4, all the way to the 1, but doesn't go to 3 or 5. And then here, let's say it's something like 4. So the 7 definitely resets it. Like the left side can't be below. This thing separates all windows of subarrays. All windows of subarrays are going to be gone. What if, probably need to keep track of these. So for a right side, where the right side works, it would need to go back to be, it would need to go back to every subarray So let's say there's a current left side and right side, and the left side is like the farthest back of any value that's in the range of min and max. And the right side is obviously in that range as well. So for the portion, so we're guaranteed, well, we'll assume right now that the min and max is the appropriate min k and max k. If it's not, then there's no point in considering any windows here, because it just doesn't satisfy. So there's some number of min k values and max k values within this window. So like, you have an array that basically is, well, yeah, it's basically, let's just consider something that only has min and max as min k and max k as min and max values. So 5, 1, 5, 2, 3, 5. Okay, something like that. So how many of these subarrays have the appropriate min and max? What would you do? What would you do? So I think you have to assume that this is going linear. So like, you're not going to try to count these any subarrays where the right side, where the ending index is where the ending index doesn't include the last value. So we're just talking about how many subarrays end with the current value, where that value could be any value that's in the range, and how many subarrays could you form? How many subarrays could you form? Isn't it just the number of valid subarrays before plus 1? Is it? No, it's the number of valid subarrays before plus the number of valid subarrays before. No. So what were the valid subarrays before? Like 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. 1, 5. Alright, I think I need a simpler example. So I would say it's like 1, 5, 1. Okay. So you added 5. How many valid subarrays were there before? There were 1, 2, and 3. Of those, how many valid ones were ending with the 1 connected? So that'd be just 2. 1, 2. So this thing could extend any of those. So if you extend it, then that's another 2. So like 5, 1, 5, 1, 5. No, sorry. This extends it. So that means 5, 1, 5, and 1, 5, 1, 5. So there's 2 that you can form by just extending it. And then there 2 that can be formed by the extension. And there's some that can be formed by the non-extension. So if you didn't extend a current, like if this is a value that's the min or max, yeah, if this is a min or max and the previous value is the other one, then it doesn't, so it's a fresh one. 1, 5 is a fresh subarray. Okay, so let's extend this idea here. So nothing works when the right index is 1. 5, the right index is 5. You have like one valid one. And then when the right index is 1, then you extend the one valid one. So that's another 1. And then you could make a new one. 5 and 1 can be formed into. So there's 2 there. When the right side is 3, then there's currently 2 that are extendable, the 1, 5 and the 1, 5, 1, plus 2, and 3 doesn't form any new ones on its own. And then when it's 5, what happens when it's 5? 5 would be able to extend any of the 2 that is already currently valid. So that's the 5, 1, 3 and the 1, 5, 3. So the 5 would get 2. And then the 5 would also form a couple more possibilities. Form like the 1, 3, 5 is a possibility. 5, 1, 3, 5 isn't. No. It would form the 1, 3, 5 as a new possibility. And that's the only one that would form, because the other ones were counted. So it would extend it and form one new one. And let's consider one more. So if there's 4 here, the 4 would extend 3 streaks and doesn't create any new ones. So I'm going to say this should be 6, 10, 11. So new test case 151354 should give 11. Okay. So my idea seems correct in this scenario. So I think it's, so for each new value, the number of times the answer increases the number of times the value could be used as an extension of a previous streak, a previously valid subarray, plus the number of subarrays that it can form on its own. So let's say that it was, let's say there was something more complicated here. So let's say there was another value here. So the 1 by itself doesn't form anything. And then you have 1, 5, that's 1 streak, so that's 1. The 2 extends the 1, 5, so that's 1 way, and it doesn't form any new ones. The 1, the next one can extend the 1, 5, 2, so that's 1 way. And then the 1 can go all the way back to the 5, and so that's a new possibility, so that's +1. And then the 3 can form 2, and yeah, the 3 can just extend the 2. The 5 can extend this 2 as well, but it can also form, it can form a new streak that is up to the 1 or the 2, or anything before the previous 5, assuming the previous 5 includes the previous 1. So anything between this previous 1 and the previous 5, something like that. That's 2 plus 2, I think. And then the 4 can just form, it can only extend, so it's 4. So it's 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14. So let's see if that works. 1, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5. So it should be 14. Okay. I think I mostly have the idea. It's just the count of the ways you can create new streaks. That is somewhat tricky. So the new streak only can occur when your latest value is either a min or max. If it's a max, then you need to go to the previous min value. If it's a max, then it needs to be something where the previous min value is after the previous max value, and everything that is between, like, 1 after the previous max value up to your previous min value should form a new streak. But if it was something where, like, 5, 1 can form a new streak, and that new streak could be 5, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5. But if you have another 5 here, that can only extend the streak because there's no new streaks being formed here. Because there's already a 5, and that 5 already counts the streaks between. Yeah, so Okay, I think I need some indice tracking. Last min, last max. Let's say this is both -1 for now. If the value is min, then the last min index is going to be this index here. Last max would be this index here. And then I need to say how many current streaks there are. Currently 0. Okay. So for each one, do I even need to check for has been, has max? Couldn't the current streak be 0 if that's the case? And then just add 0 to the answer. So if the value is interval, then the answer is going to be incremented by the current valid streaks. And then, sure, I can do this. Fine, that's whatever. I really don't know if I need this. Seems like I could possibly do without. So if you see a minimum value and okay, think about this more about the maximum case. So if your value is the maximum and if the last time you saw a maximum was before the last time you saw a minimum, then the number of valid streaks is going to be increased by the difference between the last time you saw a maximum or minimum minus last time you saw a maximum plus 1. No, I think it's just minus that. Yeah. And then you set your last max to be the current index. And then here, this is also if the last time you saw a minimum is before the last time you saw a maximum in your valid streaks. This last maximum minus last minimum. So how to reset this? So the valid streaks should reset here. And I don't even need to know do I even need the left index? Do I need to even know the left index? Where did the left index come into play? So if the array didn't start with 1, so let's say the array started with 2. So 2 doesn't give me anything, so there's 0 streaks there. 1 doesn't give me anything. 5 is a 5 is a valid 5 is valid. So if 5 works, then it should be able to say that it should be increasing the number of valid streaks at that point. And there should be 2 valid streaks that should be formed, the 1, 5 and the 2, 1, 5. So how does it form it? So can I say that the first time you saw the 1 or 5, it's at index -1? So here your last min is 1 and your last max is -1. So the number of valid streaks is 2. And then you say that last min there then, or last max there would become 2. I think that logically makes sense. But then when you reset it, what happens? When you reset it and you see that there's a non-valid number, then I think you need to set the last min and last max to be equal to the index, to that index. So the right side, yeah. Okay, I think I don't need those. I think -1 is fine there. Don't need hasmin or hasmax anymore. I think when I reformulate when I recalculate this thing, the valid streaks should increment by the same valid. So I'll say new streaks is last max minus last min. New streaks is last max minus last min. Yeah, so I can say here the number of new streaks is normally 0. And the number of new streaks is now last min minus last max. I don't know if this works on the case where it's all the same value, but the answer should increment by the new streaks, and also the valid streaks should increment by the new streaks. Okay, so it actually does work for the case of all the same numbers, and for the other trial case. It doesn't work for this other simple case here. So what is it doing for this one? Outputs 4, expected value is 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and print out some stuff. Print the value, print the answer, current valid streaks, and the current answer. Okay, so index 1, value 1, or index 0, value 1, there's no streaks. That's right. Index 3, index 1, value 3, no streaks. 5, there's 1 streak, good. 2, there should only really be 1 streak here. There should be 2 streaks. So when the value is 2, value isn't min or max, so the number of new streaks should be 0. So, oh no, the 2 here is the actual number of streaks. It says 2, that's correct. And then, so it should be resetting when it hits the 7, but it's not. So when it hits the 7, it's not doing something correct. And then when it hits the 5 after the 7, when it's the 5 after 7, the answer is incremented by the number of valid streaks, which is currently 2, I think. No. So 5 hits here. The value should be equal to max k. Here, last max and last min. Okay. Yeah, this just, it doesn't have a last min. So it just shouldn't be having it. So, what is the approach here? The value equals max k, and the last and the value equals max k. So close. Maybe I need an earliest one, an earliest indexed. For 5, put earliest index 2. All these things are just too easy on test cases. So let's say there's an actual 2 thing. I think this screws it. It actually works on. Wait, what? Yeah, it doesn't work on the 2 case. So the two 0 streaks, 1 0 streaks, 3 0 streaks. First 5 gives 2 streak, which is correct. 5 goes to 1, 5 goes to 2, is the 2 valid. Man, I just don't want to do the Boolean stuff. I don't think I want. There has to be some logic here that can do it without Booleans. Do. Last min and last max. It's originally at -1, and that works for the initial trend setting. For the very first one that encounters. Then it doesn't work on the reset. So on the reset, when I see the 5 again, yeah, because I'm assuming that actually the 7 includes a 1, pretty much. I think, something like that. Am I assuming that? If the value, when it sees the 5 here, the value is max k. This is false. Last max minus last. That should be false. And then last max should equal, right? So when it sees the last 5, the number of valid streaks that's adding is 2. The value is max k. The last max should be equal to the last min. No? Oh my. Second time I wrote the same thing. I am so stupid. What was the other time where I rewrote like last min equals last min? Or has min equals has min? So, oh my god, so stupid. Alright, well, that was a lot of debugging for something very, very stupid. Left. I don't think I even used sliding window kind of here. So this is not really a sliding window approach. This is, well, I wouldn't classify this as sliding window. Technique is this. I don't think I need has min or has max. And this is fine. This is okay. Can I simplify this? If the value is the lowest and it's fine. The value is the highest. Okay. Answer is incremented. Yeah. No, I think this is all pretty reasonable in terms of simplified code. Okay. I really don't know what to make of this, how to describe this technique. Okay, so the summary here is for kind of like a window, for it's sliding window. It's like a counting sliding window. So if you iterate through all values of num, each value could be, assuming value is in range of min k, max k, the value extends some number of current of valid, what's this called, ideal? Valid kind of complete complete arrays having appropriate bounds equal to min k max k. So answer increments by that amount. Additionally, if value equals min k or max k, it will create, it can possibly create more new valid windows. So for instance, let's say example is min k, max k is 1, 5, and your array is 3, 1, 2, 5, 4, 1, 3, 5, 5. So for instance, if you have something up to the 5, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 5, the 4, at that point there's like one valid window. There's one valid, no, sorry, there's, at that point there's two, let's get rid of 3 here. The 1, 2, 5. So this is a valid fixed bound subarray, and the 4 would extend that, so there's one additional one. And then the 1 would extend that, so there's an additional 1 there. But the 1 could also create 2 new windows, that 2 new subarrays that work. So the 1 can go to the 5, the 1 can go to the 2. And this is if the previous min and max are kind of alternatingly ordered, such that any subarray after the earlier of the two up until the later of the two works. So if you have the 1 and your kind of earlier stuff is a 1 and a 5, so that means that anything after or after the previous one but before the, or including that latest 5, like the 2, 5, 4, 1 and 5, 4, 1, that could be something works. But if it was something where this is a 5 and there's a previous 1 and 5, the 5 is the later one, then you're not going to create new windows because those windows are already included within this 5. So that's this logic right there. The new streaks versus the valid current streaks. Any new value will extend valid streaks, and if it's a special value, either min or max it, it increases the number of valid streaks possibly. Alright, time complexity. This is going to be O of n. Actually, I think I should probably just rename this from right to just index, because we don't have it left. That still runs. Yep. Time complexity is O of n. Go through each index once, do fixed computation logic with them. Which, and space complexity, I don't even think I used any, but yeah, this is no new stuff. Mode 1 constant. Alright, cool beans.